So we just need to shift our lifestyle slightly to cater to where our bodies are at naturally at that time. And that's not a bad thing. That's honoring your body. And that's actually going to allow you to have more energy, less cravings, feel more stable, and have more mental clarity than if you were trying to eat at more of a caloric deficit or eat the same way that you were eating 2 weeks ago.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast, Biz on the Brain, with your host, me and Marie, where we talk about how to be your most authentic and unapologetic self because you deserve it. And there's so many ways you can be kinder to yourself and unlearn all of the patterns that don't serve you anymore. And one big thing, especially for, women, is food and diets and how you treat your body and what you put in your body. And so I sat down with a dietitian and a certified food expert, Abbie Stasior, because she is such a joy to talk to, because she has made it her mission to not just, give people diets and tell people how to lose weight. No, it's really about owning what your body needs and listening to your body and be mindful and actually show kindness to it, because everybody's body is different. Everybody's DNA is different. Your needs in any given time of your life can change, and especially for women, and we talked about that too, our cycles affect what we need so much. And so every month every week there's different needs, and there's different intakes you require in terms of like supplements, in terms of maybe your energy input, maybe of how much food size is, your portions, and how you can reduce food waste overall, and just exactly how you feel about the act of eating. Do you shame yourself? Do you structure it too much? Does it feel limiting? Or is it actually joyful to you? Because I am a foodie. I absolutely adore food, and I'm very, very particular about my food. I've always been labeled a picky eater, but I'm also in constant search for novelty because of my ADHD. So I love to travel the world. I love to try new things, but I'm also always listening to what my body thinks about it. Like, I always get a very visceral reaction to all the food I see. And even if it's the food that I always loved, like my comfort food, it can change any given day and suddenly it feels repulsive and it doesn't make sense. And I always felt a bit guilty about it until I knew it was an ADHD thing. But realizing that there's also a narrative that comes with food and with eating and how you eat and how you look. And this doesn't even have to result in food problems, in having anorexia, bulimia, or like different kinds of issues around food, like, or illnesses. But it should be an important topic, how you feel about food from the get-go, because there shouldn't really be this judgment. You can have an emotional connection to food, like you just love strawberries or whatever, but the way you view this food is so indicative of the way also you treat your body. And that is also really important on your self-love journey, and to feeling more authentic, and to actually standing your ground and owning yourself and your needs and your body and all of that good stuff. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Abbie.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. This is our third attempt at doing this because it will cut off our audio. Like, the tag gods are not in our favor, but we will prevail. We will prevail. Like, what's this? That's the word. I can't even vocab. Oh my God, let's just cut. What was the word? Prevail, right?
Prevail.
That's the word.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hello. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy you've made it, and we've made it, because our audio and tech glitches have been hitting hard. So fingers crossed this will go off without a hitch. And I'm so happy to speak to you.
Yes, I'm so happy that I can speak with you and that you can hear me and that everything is all good now. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. And that's trying how things work with the audio. So can you just quickly introduce yourself to us? What do you do? What's your passion? And then we can just vibe.
Yeah, so my name is Abbie Stasior, and I'm a non-diet registered dietitian, and I'm very passionate about helping people break away from diet culture, let go of food restrictions, and embrace intuitive eating that really allows people to have a more joyful and vibrant life and actually a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. So I'm also a certified intuitive eating counselor. I have a master's in nutrition and exercise physiology from Columbia University. So I live in the States. So I'm from New York originally, but I am living in Nashville now. So hey, yeah, like part of the South. And yeah, I have been running my own health coaching practice for the last 5 years, Be About Being Better. And I have my own podcast, Be About Being Better. And since I've become a registered dietitian, I've just expanded my practice and everything online.
I love that. And I love that you are focused, like it was really important to you that you have those degrees and those certifications because, it's not really, is it a protected word to be like a dietitian or like a health coach or like whatever? People, you can easily give yourself a label and then give people advice, and then it might be completely unfounded or not holistic enough, taking into account a lot of different things. And especially us as women, we are constantly bombarded by messages of what is not enough, what is not good, what is wrong with us. And so I've always had beef with the diet culture because it's just really toxic. It's not really about the health. It's just about what's trending and like, so why are you bad according to the trends? And so let's fix it. Let's get you weight on the hips. Let's lose weight everywhere. Let's just like, it's just this rat race on the health level, and it's nothing to do with health. And it's going to pick up soon with the Christmas season and like weight gaining. And so this is really important to me too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was just having a conversation with my mom the other day because she's on the wellness committee for her office. And my mom is she's what we call an almond mom. So she's very in the thick of diet culture. Will literally eat one almond to be like, I'm full. So I was really surprised that I had this conversation with her, but she said that she got into a fight with the woman who is the head of the wellness committee. I'm like, oh boy. I was like, Mom, you cannot be getting fired. Like the wellness committee is not worth it. Like, please relax. But she was like, the wellness committee and this woman that was running it wants, and my mom works for the state of New York. So there's just like a lot of bureaucracy and things going on there. But she said they wanted to do this campaign for the whole office for the holidays. Like, the only thing that should be stuffed this season is the turkey, and like maintain, don't gain. And they want to do daily weigh-ins for people. They want to like put all these flyers around the office for portion control and avoid sugar. And I'm like, what is going on? I was like,
it's like corporate bullying.
It is. I'm like, it is not your employer's job to be monitoring your weight. What?
That is so crossing many boundaries. That is horrible. And you don't know about anyone's dietary needs and requirements, and what anybody's intake is very specific to a person. And my God, this can be so detrimental to your health. And then again, these societal hierarchies, and then you got people judging you and taking tabs, and that is the worst.
So much guilt and shame. And her justification, the woman that was running the meeting, was like, well, not everyone has to participate. Like, we can make it optional. And it's like, why would you make it optional for some people? Like, do we not care about some people's health, but we care about others? Like, if someone's in a smaller body, do we not care if they're in the challenge or not, but we really want the people that are in a larger body? Like, how discriminatory is that? And also, what if you choose not to participate? Very cliquey. What if you choose not to participate? Like, there's so much office politics, office gossip. People are obviously going to be talking about you if you're not doing the challenge. And how much guilt and shame would you have if you gained weight, or I don't know, it's just so messed up. So my mom stood up in the meeting and was like, we're not doing this. This is so wrong. And like, it's not our like employer's place to be like, yes, we're the wellness committee, but this is not leading to wellness. This is very discriminatory, very harmful. It can lead to disordered eating and eating disorders. This is just not appropriate. So I'm really happy because my mom, because she's in the thick of diet culture, the fact that she was able to recognize all that. And she's like, I've really been, I've been listening to your podcast. I've been watching your content and I've been having more conversations with her to plant seeds. So it's cool to see, like, it is worth it with the people in your life to plant seeds because you don't know when it's going to click for them. And it was like in that meeting, my mom saw diet culture for what it was and really opened her eyes. It was a beautiful moment.
Oh, I love that for her. And I love that you actually stood up, because that is scary too. And I'm sure there's like half of the room at least is men who have like, it's a entirely different thing for them.
Totally.
I mean, they
100%.
also, obviously, there also is a lot of stigma around like men and weight and eating disorders are also like, but like, let's not get into that. But like, it's just overall a terrible idea, and it should not even have been proposed in the first place. This makes me so mad, because honestly, how come these corporations or government bodies just get so much more into people's personal space? I mean, it's been the debate with like working from home versus returning to work and all of that. And now they're just policing bodies. And especially in 2023, when we're all much more woke and much more inclusive, hopefully, we're having all of these debates, we're getting these archaic ideas. This sounds like a 50s thing, honestly.
Yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And the slogan, I can see that on like a newspaper print with like a housewife.
Yeah, maintain, don't gain, don't be stuffed like this turkey. Like, it's just so awful. Oh, and then like diet culture too, just as a system, is so contradictory. It literally makes no sense. Like, you'll hear, oh, you need to have whole fresh foods, but buy my greens powder, buy my supplement. And supplements are not regulated in any capacity. So it's like, oh, you need to be so cognizant of the ingredients that you ingest, and you need to read the label before you go buy a cereal. But take my supplement, and you don't know what's in a supplement.
And you don't know what the label means. Like, they have all of these numbers and words, and the normal customer, like, I don't know half of what it says. And then they can like, then it's suddenly your responsibility again when there are actual governmental policies and regulations in place to protect the customer, but only to a certain extent. And then you've got all of these people online selling their own products unregulated, like businesses from outside, because they would real nice in the US or Europe. And it's just crazy how it's just really this psychology and marketing manipulation that's behind it, and then overall the societal pressure. And then even yesterday I saw a specific TikTok video about fashion and beauty ideals, and she just really broke it down, how you look at any decade, like in the 1900s, and you're not supposed to have like all the curves, but then suddenly you had to have the curves with the Victorians, and then you had the flappers, and suddenly no boobs, no butts. And then like you had the 50s, and then you had the Marilyn Monroe, and then the Audrey Hepburn, and it's just like every...
Oh wait, oh no, you muted again. Okay, it just muted when you were talking about like after Audrey Hepburn.
My mom called. Can you imagine? My mom called.
Oh, she knew we were talking about diet culture. Hey, mom. Almond mom. Exactly. I don't know if your mom's an almond mom, but I actually saw that
a little bit.
I actually saw that same post on TikTok. That's so funny that you mentioned that, because that it really impacted, and it went mega viral because she went through every single decade and talked about who was the celebrity that we were looking up to at that time, and what was their body type, and like the body type or like the ideal body type shifted for each decade based on whoever celebrity. So it's like, now it's the Kardashians, and it's crazy.
Exactly. And that's just, if you just look at the magazines, it's a crazy. When I grew up, I was devouring all of these beauty fashion magazines, which is mostly ads, and just like, it makes you just feel horrible. Like, all of the top 10 things to avoid whatever they just made up is terrible about the body. And then whoever is currently the flavor, and it's just, they always have to look for a new thing. So obviously they're taking the opposite, the polarizing thing, who's suddenly like so brave for being super thin, so brave for being like curvy, so brave for doing this and that. So like, it's always, it's just, again, with the media, they just want something that polarizes and that sells, and then they just pick a person who is currently trending, or make them trend. And that's just why it's just up and down. And then obviously marketing agencies, they just love that. They're like, oh, we have a new need, we have a new problem, so we can sell to people. Like, we can make up that women have to shave, and then that women have cellulites, and they have hip dips, and all of the things that were non-issues in the past.
Right. Exactly. Now we need to be perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Think about how many companies would literally go out of business and no longer be making money if women just stood up and said, I don't need to be fixed. I don't need
Right.
these extra products. I don't need to be like working so hard or doing these things to change my body. Like, think about how many companies profit off of you being dissatisfied with your body. It's wild.
Mhm. I mean, there's like numbers on, I don't know the numbers right now, but on how much women spend in their lifetime or even in a year on beauty. And it's
Yeah.
wild. And then, then add the paying tax and then add the wage
Yeah.
gap. And just like, so we're constantly making ourselves more beautiful or fixing things and then spending a lot of money on it to present ourselves and then have the beautiful hair and the body and the soft skin and then the makeup and then the curves and then we go and have fitness studio stuff and like you're like always being a project and it's crazy. And I mean obviously it's also by design because people can sell you, but it also keeps you numb to an extent. Like I noticed that for instance, when I started traveling the world and I was in Australia and just the makeup literally just ran off my face the moment I put it on. It was too hot. And then all of the sunscreen. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I just like look crusty now and no more makeup, whatever. And then I survived. Nobody died looking at me. I was like, oh, like I'm not I'm
you're
not
good.
traumatizing people by being barefaced. Like, because I was so petrified. I was like, oh my God, like I couldn't step on the street without being worried about what people think. Or like I didn't want to like wear swimsuits because I'm like, oh, there's like these things that I don't like, this thing. And then, when you're just nobody cares. Nobody
Right.
actually cares.
Nobody-
And you're in the
Because people are
moment.
so concerned about themselves. They literally are not focused on you, especially in like a big city like that, especially if you're a tourist. Like you're a dime a dozen, like nobody's paying attention. And one thing I say to my clients all the time is, the way that you speak to yourself, would you say that to a friend? Would you say that to a family member, somebody that you love? And it's like, no, we would never speak to someone that harshly. Why are we showing ourselves that much hate, judgment, criticism? It's really sad, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And that when I realized that, it also shifted for me, like how I talk to myself, how I viewed myself when I was like, I'm my biggest bully. Like I was this amalgamation of all of these harsh voices and comments that I just collected over the years as a kid because I thought I was like not in the, like I didn't know myself best, so everybody knew better. So if they gave me a backhand like an underhanded comment, I was like, oh yeah, probably like valuable criticism. And it's just like, no, I don't have to take any of the stuff. Like you can keep your baggage. Like I don't have to fit your narrative. I don't have to fit your type. I don't have to fit any trend at all. And if it's not good for you, then we're not good together. Right. And so like the more I traveled, again, just because I didn't care at all and nothing happened. And then I had more time. I felt more beautiful. And then even when I went to the hairdresser and they completely ruined my hair, I looked ridiculous. I looked like like Pink in her early age. Oh, she had just flaming pink hair, and it was weirdly it was a weird pixie cut because they didn't know what they were doing. It was a horrible thing. And I just went on the street. I looked ridiculous. I felt horrible. And then all of like so many old ladies came up to me and they're like, I have to tell you, you're so beautiful. I love your hair. I'm like, what? I was like, are you sure? Like, are you blind? Like, how is your vision? But anyway, I was like, thank it was only old ladies who did that. But I was like, oh my God. But thank you anyway. And then I traveled to like Japan by that time all of the color was out. And I was just this weird yellowish blonde. Horrible again. I didn't go to the hair stylist. And people started taking photos with me because they just loved that I was fake blonde. And then I went to like Korea and put on like the traditional dress and like a wig and whatever, and people started taking pictures and complimenting me while I was walking on the street, even though I didn't really fit to the beauty ideal. But I was like, I can just literally cross a boundary, like a country border, and suddenly I'm gorgeous. Then I just go to the next country and suddenly I'm fat. In the next country, I'm like, my face shape is wrong. So it's just such an arbitrary mess, and it's really not important at all. You just realize, you can like tweak your environment. It's just really the environment that you put yourself in that you tolerate when it's just been like across the country, across the state. You can just walk a few miles or travel or go on a jet. Like, and then you're there and you're just beautiful. And then when you collect those people and you can get them in your town as well, there are people who don't care how you look. They care about your soul.
And if you surround yourself with those people, then you can like fortify yourself and then get better eating habits, because then you not feel so shameful eating with somebody who you feel is judging you, because that also has an effect on your diet. You know, like even if you like regulate yourself and have the habits and you stick to it, the regimen, but still if the shame eats with you, then you might go binge, and then you feel bad about it, so you binge again, getting eating disorders or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I like that you said like the shame eats with you, because that's really what's leading your eating habits if it's coming from that place. And if we are in any way still striving for intentional weight loss, that is going to lead to disordered eating habits in some capacity down the line. And ultimately, if that's our goal, to lose weight, keep striving for thinness, like weight is not a behavior. We really can't set goals in that area because we can't really control that. Like weight is so multifactorial, and our weight fluctuates naturally for so many different reasons. Like even just with our menstrual cycle, like it just naturally fluctuates. So it's better to set goals around the health behaviors. Let me get more sleep. Let me move my body in a way that feels good 3 to 4 times a week. Let me practice having 3 meals a day, maybe some snacks, and making sure they're balanced meals, hitting my water goal. Like those sorts of things, like those are areas to set goals around. And then I have found that when people optimize their healthy habits and they've decreased stress, it's like their body can relax and sit naturally where it wants to sit.
Yeah.
And that might lead to weight loss. That might lead to weight gain. You might gain weight and then lose weight. Like your body will eventually regulate out where it wants to sit, but you will have a healthy lifestyle that like you will just feel better in your body. Your body will be less stressed. You'll be working properly, and you'll have a way of eating that is truly joyful because you're adequately nourishing yourself. So yeah, I think we just have to put less of an emphasis on the weight and more of an emphasis on how do I adequately nourish myself, and how
exactly
do my body well, like what habits would allow me to feel my best.
And I feel like a lot of it is also unlearning, because like you said, everybody's body is different, and we are just also somehow genetically like predisposed to like certain body shapes or where you collect fat. Like, you know, that differs between men and women, but also in the family. So if you're comparing yourself to your mom or your grandma and you're like the odd one out, that doesn't mean anything. Like, and if you start to actually listen to your body and just release the stress and the focus on the structure that is imposed on you, and you don't evaluate if it's actually working for you, because, you know, when you work a 9 to 5 and with this adult life, you usually have those specified times for eating and how much you eat and how much you can eat, and if you eat in a hurry or whatever. And all of that affects how you digest. Like if you take the medication, if you don't take medication, if you're like stressed one time of the month, like you said. I once heard, I don't know if you know that, but Lily Singh had a late night talk show. It's the first female host, and she said when she pitched that project and was greenlit, and they were giving her a budget for wardrobe, they didn't realize that she's a woman. And she was like, I need more budget for a lot more stuff that women have, like nails and hair and whatever. But also I need more suits for different times of the month because I bloat. And I was like, girl, I never thought of that. I literally never thought of my clothes. Like, why is it so fit? Like, why should I, like, I'm bloating. Like, I should eat different. No, I should just wear different clothes at different time of the month. Why do I fit myself into what doesn't fit? Like, why do I punish myself for it? If I know, like, every month I feel bloated, then it's not necessarily the food. You can do things, but like, also, why not be comfortable?
Yes. Oh, and have you ever heard of cycle syncing?
Yes, that too.
I love,
but like stress affecting it, or like what birth control you use.
Yeah. And really cycle syncing, for if anyone's listening and they don't know, that it's aligning your lifestyle, nutrition, exercise, self-care, everything, to go with the grain of your hormones, and not having a lifestyle that's, you know, contradicting what your body naturally wants to do.
It's usually the masculine lifestyle that's pushed upon us with the 24-hour cycle. But we are women. We have the 21, 28 circle. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we kind of have two biological clocks because we do have a circadian rhythm, light dark cycle, And with that, then we have this other biological clock that's 28 days that men just don't have. And you're so right that like corporate America, 9 to 5 life is just set up for the male hormone cycle, because there's also cycles like what we go through in 28 days, they go through in 24 hours. So very frustrating, but there are ways to shift your lifestyle so that it supports your hormones and gives you more energy, even at those times of the month when we feel lower energy, bloated, not as social. There's different things to do. And there's ways to kind of structure your lifestyle where when you are feeling more energized, when you are feeling more extroverted, even if you're naturally an introverted person, there are better times of the month where you're just are more naturally extroverted and willing to try new things and put yourself out there. So at the times of the month where naturally that's what you're leaning towards, like you have to go after that and optimize that. But then you need some tools in your toolbox to counterbalance that. And times of the month where, so like for me, for example, I'm in follicular phase. So follicular phase is the phase right after you're done bleeding. So you're done with your period. And this is like our spring equivalent. Like you're coming out of the winter and you have all this energy, like rebirth. You feel like a new woman. So amazing. Like everyone knows, like after they're done with their period, they just naturally have more energy. So I'm like, okay, great.
That's when I'm so creative. Like I just like that week behind, like it's really just like 7 days max. And then I need to like creative project, photo projects, don't talk to me, no pitching, And if you just rely into that. Also, I eat more, I do more, like, and then towards the period or before the week before, I can't eat much, and then I don't have the energy, and then it feels like I'm forcing myself. And so like you can also adjust the portions or the type. Like iron, I always lack the iron,
Yes, that's so true, because I mean we're losing blood at that time, so we definitely need more iron. But yeah, that's interesting that you said that you eat less and are more tired during like the PMS period and like right before your period, maybe even on it, because we actually need more calories at that time, because your body is either like after ovulation.
Did I mix that up?
Well, no. I think most people still try and keep up with how they normally eat at the beginning of the month when they get closer to their period. And then they wonder like why they're tired all the time and why they have all these cravings. It's like your body it's craving more. It needs more nutrients because your body is doing more internally. So you have follicular phase, then you go into ovulation phase. Ovulation is our fertile window. So that's either when egg is getting fertilized, and then after that you're prepping for a baby and the cells are dividing because the baby's growing so quickly, or your body is prepping the uterine lining to then be shed during like menstrual phase when you're actually bleeding. So during like the second half of your cycle, as you get closer and closer to actually bleeding and being on your period, your body is either building a baby, needs more food and fuel, or it's building up the uterine lining. So internally, you're just like burning more calories. You need more fuel for that process. So you're hungrier at that time. So we need more, and it's not that much more, maybe an extra snack here and there, a little extra protein. Doesn't have to be that much, but like I think we shame ourselves for having a different hunger level than we did a week or two before. But that's so natural. Our hormones are doing completely different things. So we just need to shift our lifestyle slightly to cater to where our bodies are at naturally at that time. And that's not a bad thing. That's honoring your body. And that's actually going to allow you to have more energy, less cravings, feel more stable, and have more mental clarity than if you were trying to eat at more of a caloric deficit or eat the same way that you were eating 2 weeks ago.
So true. And I also want to add, yeah, it totally makes sense. And again, it's just listening to your body and drowning out all of the noise, because you might be feeling weird because it's not normal in quotation marks. But if that's what your body needs and what's what it needs, like you also need to monitor if you actually eat enough and like all of the big needs that you have with the vitamins. But, your body will like tell you, like sometimes I get these cravings and then, for like specific kind of food, and then I realized, oh yeah, I guess my iron was low, like so now I'm eating all of the lentils and spinach and whatever. So like sometimes I get these impulses, I don't know where they came from, because like I don't track my food. I should maybe sometimes, but then I just like, I'm just gonna make shit ton of lentils, and then I'm like,
I feel better now. So I guess it was something that is
That's
in there
so
that I
good.
needed.
Yes, our bodies are so smart. Your body will tell you what it needs. So I think people freak out when they have cravings, but it's like, no, cravings aren't something to fear. It's information. It's telling you what you need. So it's cool that you're listening to that and then you feel better, like you actually have felt that with yourself. I think people freak out when they have cravings because most of the time they crave really sugary things or processed items. And when you just have that, well, number one,
Yeah.
our bodies are so smart. Your body is craving carbs because your body knows like that's what's going to give you the most energy the most quickly because we absorb that and digest that the fastest. It's going to give you energy very quickly. But if you just have carbs, if you just have sugar, you will crash very soon after that. So your body is looking for energy. So give it some fuel. You can have some carbs. And with that, try and pair that with a protein source, pair that with a fat source. So it actually sustains your blood sugar, keeps you fuller longer. You won't have that dip. You won't have that crash. But yeah, it's information at that. Like when you have sugar cravings, that's information that you need more fuel and your blood sugar is not balanced.
Exactly. And we don't run around like testing our blood all the time, obviously. So how would we
Right.
know? And
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
one thing that I realized,
Like with our
like I
energy.
always said to people, like when I was growing up, or even today, like I need food every 3 hours. Like if I don't get it, I will either completely lose body control. I'll run into things, I get like dizzy, whatever. Like I have visible problems, or I get super hangry and cranky. And I've had people who would and like, oh yeah, you need to be more regular, or like, no, you can't just stop for a snack now, like we want to hike or whatever. I was like, I just need to eat something that I can't eat on the go, which is not really healthy. Okay, come on. Like, and I noticed I was like warning people, okay, I forgot to buy like a chocolate bar or whatever. Can we get into the store real quick? And they're like, we don't have time. So I was like, but you will know when I get cranky, it's your fault. And then again, they will still blame me. I was like, I want you. You like deprive me of the food that I need. And then they're like, trying to like shame me or reason me into like the regular, like 3 meals a day when I always needed those specific snacks,
Yeah.
intermediate food I always had. And it's really interesting because I lately have gotten really interested in human design. I don't know how much you know about that, but as I was like reading up on it, there was like something specific about it. And it says that I need food like regularly, but not like, it was so specific and it was exactly telling me what I'm saying right now. It just needs that I'm not regular, like I need regular food, but I don't need it in the typical structured time that people use. It was so specific. I was like, that's creepy. Like that's
Oh,
honestly creepy.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the
your body
way,
will when it needs
yeah,
more. And it's like, oh, these different times when we quote unquote should eat, that's all
yeah,
man-made. Like that's all
yeah,
society. That's not, like your body has an innate wisdom. Diet culture
yeah.
wants us to rely on these external things for when, how much, and what to eat. But your body will tell you exactly what it needs. So it makes me sad to hear that like people were like either making fun of you or shaming you for when you felt like you needed to eat. And that's so common in our
Mm-hmm.
society, unfortunately,
Yeah,
that people are just like, oh, you're going to eat that much of that. Oh, you're going to get more of that. Oh, like you're going to eat
yeah.
now. But if that's what your body's calling for, you have to listen to that.
Right. And especially for all my neurodivergent folks out there, like our ADHD needs more dopamine, needs more food,
Mm,
needs to be aware of when it's actually just for the dopamine. This is like, could be anything, could be exercise, but you're using food as like an addiction in some sort.
yeah.
Or if it's actually your dopamine is low, you need actually sustenance because you forgot to eat literally all day. Like I can go
Mhm.
for 8 hours without eating and drinking because I'm so focused on something where I completely get distracted that I cannot hear my body anymore. I will not
Mhm.
hear any symptoms. And so then I just like get back into consciousness and pain. I was like, why am I like hunching
Mm.
over and everything is like tied up and like, oh yeah, you didn't eat and drink. Like now you're just like a mess. You can't even think straight. And so, even then, like it's important to have your system and listen to your body, and then maybe have someone gently reminding you, but also not force it if it's difficult to decide, because that can also be like an issue for me that when my body, like I'm very visceral. Like if I see food, I will instantly know yes or no. And sometimes it's
Mhm.
just a no to everything. And I'm like, I just need to eat, body. Please let me have it. Anything. Anything. What's my comfort food this week? What is it? And then sometimes you don't know. And that's also like, again, the shame factor that people don't see the big deal. Like, just eat the pasta. And I look at it and I feel like I want to throw up in my mouth because yesterday I liked it. Today, my body decided it's really vile. And I can't explain why because there's no logic. And so that is also another stress level. And then again, that leads to weird eating because you're forcing it down. Or like, I was
Yeah.
raised, in this Eastern German, household and educational system where they're like, you eat what's on the plate, you finish it, and you cannot get up until it's done. And I was like, I cannot eat anymore. I'm physically full. Like, adults know better than kids, and it's awful. Like how kids are already taught that their body signals need to be overridden, and so we wonder
Yeah,
how
it's
there's
really
childhood
sad.
obesity and all of these things, right? So like, I think now it's better. I don't know, but yeah. So like, there's so many reasons why your body says no or yes, and there's nobody else to tell you what that means.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point that you made about, like childhood obesity. And because we're teaching them from such a young age to override their hunger and fullness cues and forcing them like, hey, you can't get up from the table until you eat all of your
Mm-hmm.
food. You can't get up until you have more bites of your vegetable, or you can't have dessert until like making dessert a reward versus just like having it be normalized. Oh, that's such a good point. And that stays with you. I had to work
Yes.
through this myself, and I coach so many clients through this that as an adult feel a need to finish everything on their plate. And so I say to them, if you weren't going to finish that food, like if you have a couple bites left and you feel physically full, you are done eating, but you feel this pressure to finish everything on your plate because that's what's been ingrained with you. If you didn't eat that food, where would it go? Maybe it's only a couple bites. Maybe it's not worth it to take it in a to-go box from the restaurant, but so they'd probably throw it out. So I'm like, okay, since you're not throwing it out and you're going to instead eat that, you are literally treating your body like a trash can and a dumping ground. And like, oh, it makes me so sad that we have been taught from such a young age to not respect our bodies. So that
Mm-hmm.
realization alone is like, oh, wow, treating my body like a trash can. I'm treating my body like a dumping ground. Like that can
Yeah.
be enough to at least make you question, do I really need to finish these few extra bites?
Right. And then always this argument, like, what about the kids in Africa, which is also racist. Um, but like there is no correlation between me finishing something and somebody else being hungry. If I can't just go over there and give them the food, which is also kind of gross because like unhygienic, like, but like the logic doesn't make any sense. I always hated that and always felt
Yeah.
so like I knew that was wrong, but as my kid brain couldn't pinpoint it, and then you don't want to
Right.
be
No, it took me a while to work
rebellious.
through. Yeah. And then also like that could be a good, like nothing is a failure. Everything is feedback. That's something else I say to my clients a lot too. So like that could be feedback for you. If time after time you're ending up with a lot of food waste and that's not sitting well with you, you might be meal prepping too much. Maybe you ordered too big of an entree and maybe need to get several appetizers and sides, or right from the get-go, take half of that to go and only eat a little bit. So yeah, I feel like, or freeze some things instead of, or not prep as much. So that could, or start composting or doing something where you can recycle that food waste or reuse that food if you're ending up with a lot of food. So you can actually get creative and it can
Yeah.
give you more information to have less food waste versus like we shouldn't be shaming ourselves for having the food waste, but we can be productive with it.
Exactly. And food waste is already bad enough as is. There's like all of these corporations throwing out their good food because they want to sell more. But I absolutely love leftovers. Like that's my favorite thing. If I can't finish, or if I make a big, like I usually make like triple portions because I live by myself and I don't want to cook all the time, but also because then I can heat it up. And that's
Yeah.
amazing. And then I can like have my own portion depending on what I feel like that day. If I want to get a second, then I can get seconds. If I don't, I can just not like eat it, and then I can, like you have to be, of course, careful about hygiene. You can just reheat everything all the time. But I just love that. I just love that I have the option to actually eat it again, or then also create variety. If I can freeze on different menus, different versions, then I can have
Oh,
3 different meals for 3 days, and there's still variation, but it's still like my current comfort food. And especially now with soup season, I mean, soup, just like freeze it. It's
mm.
amazing.
So good. So good. Yeah, I love that. It seems like you have a very healthy relationship with food and are very in tune with your bodies and um in tune with your body. And I don't think that's the case for most people. I don't think people are really in tune with their hunger cues, and they'll eat when they are like withering in pain or they hear their stomach growl. But y'all, if you're waiting until your stomach growls to eat,
It's already
you've waited
late.
too long. Yeah, it's already too late.
It's like with
You've
thirst, when you're really thirsty, it's already critical a bit.
Yeah, yes, yeah, because now, if once you start to feel thirsty, you're like 2% dehydrated, but 15% dehydration is fatal.
Mm.
So yeah, I get the same thing. Like if you're super thirsty, like you gotta definitely have some water. Yeah, you're missing some other subtle hunger cues that you might not be aware of. So that would be like the first step. Like if you don't feel aligned with your hunger cues, or you have just put so much trust in external cues, diet plans, eating windows to tell you when, how much, and what to eat, the first thing to do is start to listen to your inner wisdom and to start to listen to those subtle hunger cues. And that might be a headache, it might be fatigue, brain fog, irritability. Like hangry is such a real thing. Sometimes you get like a little sensation in your throat or a little bit of a stomach ache, but you'll typically have that lack of focus, low energy, brain fog, and
Oh
sometimes you
yeah.
feel cold. So yeah, it feels different in everyone's body, but that's what I would explore first, and just honoring your hunger. So when you feel that, eat something. Then if you also struggle with overeating and not respecting your fullness, that can come later. But first, we want to make sure that we're honoring our hunger, because it's very hard to respect our fullness when we are just so ravenous and we have waited too long to eat, because then we just
Mhm.
eat so quickly, eat everything in sight, eat so fast. Like our body doesn't have time to catch up to tell us that we're full.
Yeah.
So we first have to practice honoring our hunger, and the respecting the fullness will come later.
It's exactly like when people are like starving, like I don't know, you've been in the desert, you've been rescued, whatever. You can't just give them a full buffet because they will
Right.
just to harm their bodies. And it's
Right.
the same if you've been depriving yourself and then you're like being a glutton about it, it will be having the negative effects. It's not good. And so also like not just being mindful of your body only, but also while you're eating, because like there's so easy to have distractions. You have the TV running and then you're chattering and then you just, but like actually appreciate the food, look at it, feel the textures. Like you can
Mm.
sometimes make it into a meditation almost where you're like, it feels weird, but if you tried it, it's like so good. But you just like really find the textures and different flavors and you separate and you like have the eyes closed. Because like when I again like I love traveling, so when I travel and I find new foods, I just look at things and I again have the body reaction of like, yeah, we can try that. Like I always then think we as like me, my body, and I. So I always say we. It's like in conversation. And I'm just like, do I want to eat this or not? And then, I'm very picky, which is kind of weird because I like to try new things all the time, but I'm so picky. Like there's a gazillion things I do not eat, like mushrooms and, like innards. And there's so many countries where that's really rude to reject that. So I'm like,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
that's
I
true.
don't want to be rude, but I just don't. And and then you can try things and I just really like to explore that. Like I just savor the food. I'm like, do I really like this food until I find my meal? Like every country I go to, I always look for the drink and the food until I find it. I try a lot of things and then I find it. It's just like this explosion that they showed in the Ratatouille movie, where it's just like fireworks and you're like illuminated. Like I am looking for that, and then I will eat nothing else until I have to leave, and then I'm super sad, you know. And then I teach myself how to recreate it at home, or
That's
maybe I travel
great.
back. Because yeah, and then I just really appreciate that, and that's why I'm also very picky when I go to like, oh, let's go to a Japanese restaurant, and then I cannot order this food because I know it will not be the same because it's different in every
Mhm.
country because the water
Yeah,
and the ingredients, whatever. And I don't
true.
want to be like this person who's like so I don't know extra about it. But it's just really like I want that experience, and this is not it. So I'm gonna get something else that I don't know, so like it still makes me happy, but it doesn't disappoint me, you know?
Mhm.
And so like it's a whole strategic thing for me with food, but it just makes me so happy when I do find it aligns with me and my taste and I find something really cool and flavorful. And then it's just like my souvenir. And I have much more meaning to all the food that I still have this attachment to and this flavor for. Like I don't just randomly try something and look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's nice. like, no, I need to like rock my world a little bit. Like, what's the point? Food is
Oh
great.
my God. Yeah. And that's actually one of the intuitive eating principles is discovering the satisfaction factor. Because if you are eating something and you don't genuinely enjoy it, like you are going to compensate for that lack of satisfaction in another way, whether that's binging or numbing out or like you're just not satisfied. So it's better to have a meal and just like you said, like search until you find that. Keep trying new things, keep trying new recipes, keep trying new ways to prepare until you find a meal that or adding things to the meal to make it more satisfying. Like a salad can be so boring if it's just lettuce and chicken, but add some
I hate
avocado,
salad.
oh, okay. Well, a lot of people don't like salad, but I'm almost like there are so many ways to make a salad and zhuzh it up
Yeah.
that like
I like shopska salad, which is the salad for Bulgaria. It has Bulgarian colors. Like that's the salad. I'm like, I make shopska salad any day. And it's like the simplest thing. It's like salad that I usually, it's just cucumber and red pepper, like bell pepper and tomatoes, and like then the specific cheese, like the goat's cheese, and that's and red onions. And that just is everything is just in cubes, and there's
that's
nothing really
great.
special about it, like a little vinegar and a little bit of oil. And it's like
Oh,
so
that
simple,
sounds
but it
so
just
good.
it's good. And I hate salad. I'm like, but that salad
That's
is like
salad.
amazing.
Yes, see, you have a salad that you like. And so some people are like, oh, I just don't want it to be cold. Well, then have like a warm green bowl. Like there's just so many different things. And I feel like the best salads have a mix of like salty and sweet and crunchy and creamy and crisp and warm and
fruit.
Yes.
I like to throw in like a cheeky mango. That just well, like a mango, where did that come from? Or like strawberries,
Oh yeah, it's awesome because it adds texture and just adds that bit of citrus, just a different flavor. Yeah. So if it's just so easy to not have that satisfaction but that's what we should be looking for is finding meals that we genuinely enjoy. And then with that, what can we do to actually enjoy the eating experience? So many people are just working through lunch, skipping meals, shoveling a protein bar in, and then they're on the go, eating in their car. Like we need to sit down and dine. I'm not saying we have to be there for an hour, but take 10, 15, well, it really takes 20 minutes for your body to catch up for fullness. So maybe 20 minutes. Sit there, eat with utensils if the food that you're eating requires that. And put your fork down in between bites, chew your food until it's applesauce texture, and like savor the meal. Like it's going to be so much more satisfying. You're actually going to digest it better and absorb more of those nutrients. Like if you're just shoveling in a salad, but you're eating in a stressed state, you don't secrete enough stomach acid to fully digest that food. And so you're not absorbing all the nutrients. So yeah, you could be eating something healthy, but if you're eating it so fast, now it's not allowing your body to get into that parasympathetic rest and digest state. Like you're not digesting it well. So it's almost like no. So the satisfaction factor is really big. I'm very passionate about that because people need to be eating more of what they genuinely enjoy and starting to fall in love with the eating experience again.
Exactly. And I once did when I was working in Sweden, I got a big lecture because I was wanting to be like what I envisioned, you had to be at work, like always on your desk, always on the go, like eating just like in between snacks, just writing an email. And I felt like cool or something, accomplished, whatever. Like I told myself like that's just a thing like that adults do. But I was in Sweden. And so my colleague was just like, what the heck you doing? I'm like, I'm eating. I don't have time. She's like, no, you are like legally obliged to have your 30 minutes break. I'm like, oh, well, so what? Who's going to hold me accountable? She's like, me. And she dragged me out into like this beautiful foyer where everybody was sitting. Because like, you don't mess with fika in Sweden, right? That's just like this break between like 2 p.m. and like 3 p.m. where you get to sit with other people and you enjoy your coffee and whatever food you have. And that's just like a holy thing. And I was like, I need to work. Like I was like fighting with him, like, I need to work and eat. She's like, do you know such thing? And like I sat there like a pouty kid on the couch. I'm like, nah. Like I want to work. And I'm like, for what? Like you can work in 5 minutes. Like what's your deal? And that was like such a wake-up call for me. Like, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? Nobody here makes me at all. like I've been in different work environments where people monitor you and like almost like take note of like, oh, so many minutes you've been eating, you could have eaten less and done more work, where bullying straight up.
Yeah, if you like fuel yourself adequately, you're going to be able to show up for your work, especially in the afternoon when we tend to get more tired with more energy and productivity. You're going to get more done in less time. And I hear that a lot from clients, that it's perceived pressure to keep working through lunch. It's not enforced. And also, if you do have a boss that's forcing you to work through lunch and not take a proper break, number one, that's illegal. So bring that up to HR, but also maybe consider, is this the work environment that you really want to be in? If you can't have a conversation with the boss, maybe consider if you're able to get another job. But also, is it your boss that's imposing that, or the work culture, or is that you? And do you need to make a shift? Are you putting unrealistic expectations and pressure on yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then if you just look at your performance, it's just really objectively, like you're no good if you're in pain because you didn't eat all day, or you eat really quickly. Like like you said, your body can actually process that. Or if you're like constantly on the go, you're running, you're never looking at your food, your body doesn't really realize that you're eating. It doesn't really, get all of this information properly processed, even though your stomach is doing things, but your eyes didn't even see it. Did it happen? There's all of this miscommunication. And then, like you said, but then you're suddenly activated with your sympathicus, but like then there's also a parasympathetic state. Like how can you be anything if you're both at the same time? That's not going to work, stressing you out. And then you're just completely dysregulated. Your entire body is just in this weird mesh of being alert, but also trying to like digest and be existing, like that you can't properly even go to the toilet. Like it's just everything is just so convoluted and clogged up. And then that affects your mental health, everything.
It affects your mental health, your social well-being, your work productivity, your gut health, as you mentioned, and also your period health too. It totally throws off your hormones if you're not adequately nourishing yourself or just eating very chaotically. Yeah. And this conversation is making me so hungry now. I'm in the States now.
Me too. I'm hungry. But it is dinner time here, to be fair. But also another thing that I find really interesting is that, when they market all of these supplements and things for young mothers or like women who are pregnant, it's usually not actually for the baby, because the baby is like this little parasite. It will take anything. It will like strip your bones if it needs to get the stuff it needs to grow. It will do that. But it's usually for the actual mom, like so she doesn't eat less or too much, or like just gets the ingredients that she needs and then the baby also needs. And because like this, again, just because you're a woman and you're pregnant, you still have all of these expectations of how you need to eat and how you regulate, and you shouldn't put on fat because you're eating for two, like all of these messages. And it's already confusing if you like, I don't speak from experience, my own, but like what I've heard and seen. But yeah, so isn't it crazy how we have to secretly market actually feeding the mom, but by not focusing on the mom, focusing on the baby who like doesn't really care that much, But like, because we will not do it for ourselves, we always do it for the other. It's like wild to me, like when I found that out, like, wait, we have all of these beautiful mom products and like whatever they sell, but it's actually not, it's advertised for the baby, but it's for the mom because she doesn't actually get all of the stuff that she needs because of the parasite.
That's
like that's what that's what, I don't know if people don't like that, but it is that, like the baby needs all of the stuff and the baby will take the stuff. That's just nature. And so like, how do we put ourselves back so many steps? It's so sad.
Yeah, it is. And it just speaks to like mothers. I heard it said on a podcast one time that like martyring yourself, putting yourself and your care like last for the sake of other people, like is self-sabotage masked as nobility. So we think we're being super noble. We think it's so good, but it really is sabotaging ourselves. And it's not doing the people around you a disservice. So I always say the misses have to come first. MRS. Me first, responsibility second, serving others third. Like if you take care of yourself, you're going to be able to show up. You're going to be able to pour from a full pitcher into other people's cups to show up for your roles and responsibilities and the people that you're serving the way that they deserve, and the way that your best self would want you to show up.
And that's
So good.
also a good lesson to teach your young daughters, because if they only see the mom always putting themselves last and then suddenly like, oh, everybody ate the cake, so I'm not hungry, I don't need that cake. Like, you're lying. Don't lie, and then the kids will learn, oh no, I have to put myself last before the husband, the boys, whatever, guests. And it is wild. Like, you should show that everybody deserves something and everybody gets to share. And also, if you've prepared a lot of things and if you're hosting a party, and let's just assume that the women did that for this, then why shouldn't she have that privilege to actually enjoy the fruits of her labor? Like, I never understood that, because I still remember, I'm still sour about it. Like, on my 18th birthday, I was like so expecting like my entire class to actually know about it. Nobody knew, not even my friends. So I'm like, what kind of friends? Because I was born in the summer, so always summer holiday time. And so the one time in my 18 years at on Surf, I finally had a birthday that was when people were actually in town. Nobody remembered, and it was like a big barbecue hangout with the entire class. And I was made to be the maid. I had to like service everybody the stupid sausages that I love. I love Thuringian sausages. They're the best in the world, and I'm like the biggest fan. And I had to serve everybody for no stupid reason, and I didn't get one. And I was so mad, because they were like, yeah, like, you should be gracious, and like, it's my fucking birthday. I get my sausage. Like, what? Like, I had to snatch the sausage from somewhere, I think. I was like, this is horrible. Like, why would I? Everybody can grab their own sausage. I wish I had like a backbone back then, because like now I would be like, I'll get the first sausage. I do not. Everybody self-serve. Like, whatever.
Right. Yes, go get your sausage, girl.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Anyway, so I never understood that. It's so sad, or like, if you were like, even with weddings, you run around, you have to fit in your dress. If I were to ever be at a wedding, or that's mine, like if I were to wed, that day would be around food, and I would eat all the food that I can. I can change multiple times. I don't care. Like, I need to enjoy the food. I need to enjoy the party.
Yes.
Like, I will not be there for decoration. What is going on?
Right. And I see so many brides now that are choosing to not take pictures during their cocktail hour because they want to go to the cocktail hour. They spent so much time to get the menu and their signature drink or whatever, and they want to enjoy that time with their guests. I'm like, yes, you should, girl.
Yes, exactly. You deserve it, queen. Oh my God.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I love this shift in like the overall mentality to being just like more unapologetic and just being yourself, which is totally okay, which is fine. Like, why are we doing this to each other? Like, all of these expectations, and again, like fitting in with the food. Like, if you need to snack, then just go snack. Like, we don't, especially if you look at people who have diabetes, they need their specific shot, they need to regulate, but you don't want to get to that point when we actually take care of our body and like listen to our needs. Like, you need to do that before you get to a point where you need to actually monitor for your life depends on it.
Yeah, and we spend so much of our life making decisions on how we eat and how we monitor our bodies and do everything like based on other people and their perceptions. Other people don't have to live in your body. They don't have to deal with your symptoms. So we need to start like respecting our bodies and like asking ourselves, what do I need, and not focusing on other people, because other people might have other opinions, but they don't know that lived experience in your body. They don't know what you actually need.
Right. Yeah. And it's also tricky with, especially also like doctors. It's super important to go to a doctor and listen to their expertise. But sometimes there's also this gaslighting, the medical gaslighting, where like, oh yeah, your women's symptoms are just like general, I don't know, PMS or whatever. And then you go there, and then maybe you should switch and get different opinions, or like find a doctor who specializes in more holistic approaches, whatever. Like for me, I always had stomach problems growing up, which I know now is all I tied to undiagnosed ADHD. And then it went to my jaw, and then all of the doctors started experimenting on me, but nobody had a solution until I went to one doctor, and she's like, yeah, we need to get you into physiotherapy. It's nothing about your teeth. Or like, what? And then that affected my gut health. That, it was all just together with my ADHD. Now that I know I had like this need for regular food intake at regular intervals, and the way I need the protein, and like cut down with the sugar, which I love sugar, but it gives me dopamine, but it just spikes and crashes and all of that. And so like if I regulate my exercise, the way I sit, the way I eat, and the way environment I eat, if I get constantly distracted, if like I can't properly eat it or digest it again, like, or if I just time the walking in a weird way, then I can't properly digest it because I'm already stressing again. Like there's so many little shifts that you can make when you actually get heard, when your symptoms get actually looked at from different angles, and you are firm in how you are living and feeling in your body, when you don't let yourself be talked out of your sensations, when you just take them seriously. You're like, no, there's something wrong with my jaw. With like, I have this tension, I have this thing. And I love how, especially social media has made so much more information accessible. You always have to be carefully vetting, like, what can you actually trust?
Oh, yeah.
Self-medicate or listen to cracks. That is the problem. Like, you can just easily be like, yeah, I totally have this thing, and then you just buy all the products. Again, we're like in this murky territory
of getting your information. Yeah, I think it's great that it is accessible online. But for someone like as a dietitian, like I'm so happy that I have an audience that trusts me and listens to me, and people share my content. But it's very hard being so credentialed and really having the evidence-based knowledge and being licensed to provide people medical nutrition therapy. Like if you have a condition, like only dietitians are the ones that are licensed to give anyone a meal plan. So it's really hard to see just nutritionists out there, because nutritionists are not dietitians. Anyone can call themselves a nutritionist, or even just health coaches and just influencers and celebrities that are giving health advice and profiting off of that when they actually have no knowledge. And so it's really doing people a disservice. It's hard. It's great that the information is so accessible, because the medical field and the healthcare system is so limited, and there's so many people that are stuck in their ways and gaslighting people. And with that, there is a lot of misinformation online. So it still leaves people confused, but I'm hoping that I can contribute to breaking through the nutrition noise and give people a safe haven. So if anyone wants to find me on TikTok or Instagram, Abbie.Stasior.
The links will all be down below in the description. Yes.
So good. This is such a conversation.
I love it too. Yeah. And anything else that we missed that you want to mention, or any other cool thing you're currently working on?
Yeah. So I actually just created a new group coaching program. I am so excited about this. It's called the Better Together program. I just believe we are better together in community, especially when we're trying to break away from diet culture and heal your relationship with food, exercise, and your body. So if any of what we talked about today resonated with you and you feel like you need support in this area, I can send you the link to Anne Marie, but definitely take my quiz and see if that program is for you and the right way to work with me if you're interested in that.
I love it. I love quizzes. Awesome.
Yeah, they're really fun. Right. And I coach all online. So I've been coaching internationally across 5 different continents for the last 5 years. So people being all over the world is not a problem.
I love that. We love that. Remote work. I love it.
Yes,
accessibility.
We love it.
Yes. All right, cool. Any parting words, any wise quotables you want to throw at us?
I would say what we resist persists. And there's a lot to that. But I think if we are resisting our hunger cues, resisting our cravings, we're still going to continue to have friction. And your cravings are only going to get more and more and more. Like your gut health issues are only going to get worse. Like, so we have to lean in, and we can trust our bodies. It's safe to trust our bodies. Our bodies are so smart, and healing is possible. I think a lot of people feel like they're so far away from that because they've been in the thick of diet culture for decades, but chains can be broken, things can be rewired, and healing is possible.
Exactly. Be kind to yourself.
Yes, 100%.
Right. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all of this. I had a blast.
Yay, me too. Thank you so much, Anne Marie.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
You too.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. As always, I had a blast really diving headfirst into the topic. And food is one of my favorite topics. I can talk about it forever and ever, especially when I can weave the travel aspect in, because that's how I experience so many amazing dishes. And some of them I will forever shout from the rooftops, and I will forever treasure in my heart. And if I can go travel back and eat them, I will like be so happy. And for me, it's just like tied to memories. You know, like a lot of people are very affected by smells that trigger their memories and give them beautiful moments replaying in the head. Like for me, food is such a emotional thing that helps me feel things, or helps me be more grounded and mindful, or just, you know, have the social aspect and eat with good company. And so I would love to hear if you're willing to share what your relationship to food is, how it changed over time, what you kind of want it to be maybe. And as always, the links are all down in the show notes, so you can reach out on any social media platform of your choosing and connect with Abbie and I and say what you think. And if you liked this podcast and this episode, I would be so grateful if you could rate it and maybe even share it on social media so more people can listen it and find it, because it's still pretty new and we can all talk more about food, because why not? It's amazing. So without more comments, I'll leave you to it, and I wish you a fabulous day and week until I see you and hear you again on the next Friday. Bye!